Resuming debate with his 5-minute right of reply, the honourable member for Skeena-Bulkley Valley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It is an honour to have a right of reply to, at first, express my thanks to my colleagues from across the country and around the House, from the East Coast and to the North, my colleagues from British Columbia, New Democrats and Liberals and Greens alike, the Independents as well, who have shown their support. I represent northwestern British Columbia in this House of Commons, Mr. Speaker. We are a culture and an economy based on our environment. We say up north that the people don't make the land makes the people, and that is increasingly true. And this bill that I have presented in Parliament was in fact born out of a crisis, out of a threat from an oil company seeking to build an 1,100-kilometre twin pipeline carrying unrefined raw bitumen from northern Alberta to the port in Kitimat and then on to China through supertankers 3 football fields long. And as my duty as the Member of Parliament representing this place, I realized that I had to oppose this project because the risks so far outweighed the benefits to the people I represent, and I would argue to the people of British Columbia and Canada. Yet from this crisis is an opportunity, Mr. Speaker. And we have taken this opportunity to find common cause, not just in northwestern British Columbia, but across beautiful BC, and in fact across this country. First Nations and non-Native people, community to community, have stood shoulder to shoulder in expressing our commonly held values to protect our homes, and have expressed that most Canadian sense of determination that when a government tries to force something upon us, that we stand resolute with one another in opposition to that government. But I also sought through this bill, Mr. Speaker, to propose solutions to the crisis that's upon us, to make consultation with Canadians meaningful, respectful, that if you are to ask the opinion of Canadians in our communities and in our homes, that the Government of Canada should listen to those opinions. And this bill also seeks, perhaps for the first time in Canadian law, to actually have an opinion about natural resources in this country as to whether we export them raw, as is planned by Enbridge Northern Gateway and Kinder Morgan and Keystone, or do we add value to the endowment that we have inherited? Do we ask these questions of proponents? The Conservatives say we're agnostic, and I say that is not right. Now, I have held dozens of town halls across British Columbia, from the east to the west, Vancouver Island to the interior, to the north and to the cities. And tens of thousands of British Columbians have engaged, signing petitions, writing postcards, coming to town halls. And just recently I was in the interior of BC this weekend. I took the red-eye back this morning, and a woman came up at one of our town halls and said, "Thanks for providing a little bit of hope, because I feel quite desperate with this government and its approach to our home and our province and our home and native land." And I realized that through the course of this, it has been myself that has taken the most inspiration from British Columbians that I've engaged with, who, despite a cynical and oppositional government that seeks to strip our environmental laws, ignore First Nations rights and title, ignore the reality of climate change, ignore the idea that we should be adding value to our natural wealth, that despite all that, British Columbians, Canadians have continued to show up. And with the increasing threat from a government who says that if you dare have an opinion that is contrary to the government of the day, that you will be called a foreign-funded radical by your own government. You will be called an enemy of the state by your own government. And yet people have chosen hope over that fear, time and time again. It does not make you an enemy of Canada to express an opinion. It makes you truly Canadian. Coastal First Nations, BC municipalities, the BC government, Fraser communities, labour, tourism, businesses have all stood together in opposing this project. 2/3 of British Columbians consistently. And I say to my Conservative colleagues from British Columbia, you clearly have a choice in a vote in 48 hours to decide who it is that you work for. Do you work for this Prime Minister and his oil lobby friends, or do you work for the people who sent you to this place from British Columbia? Decide that within the next 2 days, because this bill is an opportunity to stand with British Columbia and defend our coast, or to stand with a Prime Minister who has truly lost his way and believes that it is a radical thing to stand up for your community, that it makes you an enemy of Canada rather than a Canadian citizen Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The